Welcome to Andy D. Cole's podcast. Please like, share and subscribe.
Welcome to Andy D. Cole's podcast. Press like and subscribe.
Welcome to Andy D. Codes. Sit back and enjoy as we dive deeper down into the rabbit hole and into the unknown.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. I'm joined by the wonderful Derek Savory. Derek is a UFO experiencer and a spiritual medium. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Andy, how you doing? All right.
I'm great, thank you. Great to have you on. I'm just going to say a few hellos before we carry on because I don't do the typing now. It's just quicker to do it this way. So I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. So we've got Joe nickname doing the modding, Simon, James Melia, Sober Carper, Ralph Winter, Margaret Webster, and One Foots, is it?
One
that's
Foot.
Elaine. That's your
That's
sister.
Elaine, yeah. My sister.
I just realised it was as I said it. So yeah, and everyone else who's in the chat, welcome to the show. Now this one, I've upgraded to StreamYard. I'm doing that via people having paid membership to the YouTube channel. So to give you a better experience, obviously it's upgraded to the professional level, so it should be a lot clearer. It goes out to more platforms. So this is going out on both YouTube channels. It's going on to my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook personal account, and once we get it started, it's going to be going out onto Nicknames Wiltshire and Beyond Facebook group, and then obviously after the show it's going to be uploaded onto podcast. So there you go. A massive thank you for everyone who's coming on all different platforms and listening on podcasts. So that's that done. Welcome, Derek. So me and Derek met in Manchester at the Awakening EXPO. I didn't actually know who Derek. We was talking. We got introduced, didn't we, by my cousin?
That's right.
He was outside and I was inside keeping dry. And then
That's true.
brought you. Yeah, he brought you in, and then we was chatting away. About 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we went and did our own thing. Then we met back up later. And that was when I realised that you was Elaine's brother.
A small world, isn't it?
Very small. Yeah. So, no, it was great to meet you. And it was even better once I realised who you was. So that was a good connection, I think.
Yeah. It is. It's meant to be, wasn't it? It's how you meet so many people there, so many faces, you know. I love conferences, I really do.
Yeah, well, I've only just really started going to in the last couple of years, so, and I'm definitely going to be going to some more. But we were saying when we met, I'd already heard stories about you when I met Alex in Rendlesham.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, there was good stories and nothing dodgy or anything like that. It was all like to do with the orbs and all that kind of stuff. So do you want to tell us how you met Alex and what the connection is with you two guys?
Yeah, no, but I mean, I met Alex, I think it's around about 2010 or 2010 or 2012. I went to a conference and there's a load of strange things happened before I went to the conference. I had a stroke in 2009, which stopped me in my tracks. it's totally stopped me in my tracks. My whole life changed overnight with that. I was in hospital for like 8 days. All the usual stuff happens when you have a stroke. Never fully recovered as such, but it happens. And when I was sort of sitting there watching TV because there was nothing else I could do, I couldn't walk anywhere because I was sort of paralysed down one side.
Yeah.
So I sat there and watched sort of TV, and I started watching the sort of UFO programs. Now, bearing in mind, I've been involved with UFOs literally all my life.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s and 90s, I was members of Essex UFO Group. And obviously, you meet everybody who was the big names at the time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Alex Lovelock, I went to this conference and met up with him and what was his girlfriend at the time, Stephanie.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand mediumship then, because I was not involved with spiritual mediumship at all, just purely UFO side of things. But I'd watched a program on TV, which was done by a guy called Richard D. Hall. He had a series on TV. And something happened to me when I was a young kid. I say 4-year-old kid, I don't know, around about that age. I had this, what I thought was a dream, where I woke up in my room and there were these beings in my room. And they stood me up and they injected something in the back of my neck. And they said, if you move, you die. I was that little boy. And and I wasn't sure if it was a dream, but it was real. Anyway, the next morning I woke up, the little boy, and I scratched the back of my neck and it bled. And I showed my mum. And there was a mark on the back of my neck. So presumably I still didn't know if it was a dream or not. But all these years later, back in, was it 2010, I think it was, there's Richard D. Hall doing a program, and this fella come on. His name was also Hall, actually, funny enough. And this guy was telling exactly the same thing that happened to me, even down to the same beings, and the wording was exactly what was said to me. I thought, I've got to meet this Richard D. Hall. I've got to meet him and tell him, my story, because it matched up with this fella's. So anyway, there was a conference, a UFO conference on in Woodbridge near Rendlesham.
Yeah.
And I got there, I bought a ticket to go, 300 people there, 300 seats, one spare seat. Who sat next to me? Richard D. Hall. Right?
Really?
This is how you meet up with people. You meet people you're supposed to meet at certain times. And I could not believe it. I was sitting next to me. So anyway, I told him my story and we discussed it, one thing and another. Anyway, everybody that I wanted to meet was on TV at the time, I got to meet. Will it be Theo Chambers? Will it be, you name it, Miles Johnson? People who had programs on TV that covered conspiracy stuff and UFO stuff, I met for strange reasons. I've done a few of my own conferences as well. I helped out on the Colonel Holt conference, the first big one in America, in Woodbridge.
Yeah.
We had about 300 or 400 turn up for that one. I've had done the John Burroughs conference with Ronnie Dugdale in Woodbridge.
Yeah.
You name it, I've probably met them. But I'm 65 now. I've been around a long time. It doesn't mean that I know any more than anybody else. It just means at my age, you've had that many experiences, whatever you can think of, you've probably encountered.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Alex, I don't know what it was at Alex, but there was a link between us. And then he said he was a medium. And he said, well, why don't you come along to some, meetings? So I thought, yeah, I'll go along and go to one of his groups, which I did, which was in Woodbridge. And I'll tell you a little funny thing, right? You could not make that. Last week, I'm sitting in a circle in one of the spiritual circles here in Felixstowe.
Yeah.
And then while that was going on Saturday, I went to a one-day event. And there was a woman there said, I remember you're friends with Alex Lovelock. That was her office Alex used to rent. Now, I've not seen her for 10, 12 years. And when I went to this event, there's this woman, which links in with what you've just said, and Alex, that I'd not seen for about 10 years. It's her office that he used to use at night.
Ah, right.
But what I mean is different funny things happen at different times.
Yeah.
It's a bit like you send a message up in your conscious mind and these things happen. And my other half, you met my other half, I think, when we was in...
Yeah.
Well, she's a spiritual medium. She's actually well above me. She's like platform speaking medium. which
Right.
basically means she can go anywhere, anytime, and just do readings.
Yeah.
With me personally, it only works now and then. I'm not very
Right.
good. My problem is the meditation side of things. I have
Right.
trouble with the meditation bit, but sometimes it just falls into place, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I have found is like that because the UFOs are on the TV now. Years ago, we used to be classed as fruitcakes. Yeah, and I've been around a long time, so trust me, I was classed as fruitcake.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised how many people that you meet that have also had experiences. My little shop that I open on a Sunday, yeah. You want to
Yeah.
see how many people come in and talk to me, you
Really.
know, and about UFOs. Yeah, that whole market knows that I do UFOs. I was on
Yeah.
the Angling News a couple of months back, and I think half
All
of
right.
Felixstowe must have watched it. Do you know what I mean? 2 hours of filming for about 20 seconds on TV. Do you know what I mean? It really wasn't worth it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
nevertheless, it got the message out there. Do you know, every little helps, so they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But
But you. Sorry, I was just going to say,
yeah,
you were saying to me that you didn't realise that you could do the mediumship, did you? You
no,
kind
I
of
didn't.
found it by accident.
I did. I mean, when I went with David Young to a thing in Bedford where the lady was one of the twins on
Yeah,
the Kinsella
Kinsellas,
twins.
Ronnie and Philip. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of their proteges was a pretty girl whose name I can't think for a minute. I'm
Yeah.
terrible with names.
That was
Anyway,
me.
I'll think of her name in a minute. But anyway,
Yeah.
me and David Young went to one of her one-day events, and basically it's like a training thing of a one-day event. You learn stuff, and it
Yeah.
was psychometry. You hold something, and you have to give people a reading. And there's
Right.
about, say there's 10 people at this event. So I'm sitting down there, and the lady knew of me, and she knew Brenda Butler, who is my
Yes.
friend, who's sort of Queen of the Forest, Brenda.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, anyway, so the first thing was she sat us down, told us how to do psychometry, you know, how to hold bits and give readings.
Yeah.
And she said, right, let's do this for real. So out of say 10 people, they have a tray with cover over the cloth, and everybody put something inside it, and you had to
Yeah.
grab
Yeah.
whatever and do a reading. So I've got a picture. I've put my hand in, got a picture. No, you don't know who the picture's for, whatever, and you
Right.
have to pick up what you can. So I've wrote down about 3 things on the bit of A4 paper.
Yeah.
Everyone else, including David Young, done whole pages. So I'm sitting there thinking, oh my crikey, I've messed up here. I've got 3 things. They've got whole pages, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so the woman who Gail Webb, her name is, who ran it, Gail Webb. So Gail
Right.
said, right, Derek, as you haven't got so much written down, let's do you first. So I give 3 things. That's all I had written down, 3 things. And the guy at the end of the table said, that was my picture. He said, the name you give Barbara is my sister. He said, and yes, she's still alive. And
Yeah.
there's another thing as well. All 3 things were bang on, spot on. I
Yeah.
said, so Gail said, that's brilliant. I told you can do this. But I was a little bit disappointed because I only had 3 things down. But look, what Gail said, she listened, she said, it's better to have 3 things that are spot on than have 20 things that only some of them match up.
Yeah. I
Do
like
you
near
know what I mean?
that
But
thing. Yeah.
that kind of opened my eyes up. I thought, blimey, I can do this. And David Young, he was next to me, he done
Yeah.
just as well. And then we moved on to doing some more complicated stuff where you had pictures and someone was murdered. And you had to work out
Right.
who was the murderer. And you just do that by holding your hand over each picture of the possible people.
Yeah.
Bang on. It's once you
Uh,
learn how to do it. Trust me, you can do. Anyone can do it once you learn how to do it.
really.
I mean, when it comes to spiritual stuff like readings, I'm not very good at that. I mean, I went to an event about 6 months ago, near here, a place called Long Melford. They have an MBS event on a Friday, once every, say, 4 or 5 months. And I go along. I've done talks there, so I'm quite well known there. And my Penny, she does readings there.
Yeah.
But I go along and just help out, really. So I'm sitting there helping out this particular night. And these 2 women walked in, packed solid in there. 2 women come walking over, and they said, oh, you're Derek, in there. Can you do us a reading? I said, well, no, you have to put your names down with one of the readers, you know, that they're there.
Yeah.
They said, well, they're all full up. And then one of them said, I've seen you, you've done talks in here. She said, go on, you can do this. Give us both something each. So I gave the first lady 3 things. Right, that's what I'm known for, 2 or 3 things. Eh? And she just stood there amazed. And then I gave her mate 3 things. They said, that's brilliant. And they explained what I told them. They were over the moon with it. It's brilliant. So that's the good bit. The bad bit was they then frog marched me on my head, over to their table where they got 3 more of their friends sitting. They said, this guy's brilliant. Del, go on, give the first one. So the first lady sitting there said, go on, give her something. Right, now I'm frog marched to this, right? I said, look,
Yeah.
I'm only a class of fledgling medium, right? I said, go on, he's brilliant what he just told us. So they said, go to her. So the first lady, I've give her a name. I said, I've got a relationship. I said, I got a name. I said, well, I've got a relationship. And I've got a name, which I gave her. At that point, she stood up. So I'm leaving. And she put a hat and coat on, right? And started storming off. And all the other women were all laughing. I said, it's not funny. They said, no. We all know that she's seeing this bloke, but she hasn't told us. She's kept it. She thought it was a secret.
Yeah.
We all knew, but you've just confirmed it. In fact, you've just blasted it out to us all, right? So this lady stormed off. I thought, oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, I give the other couple of ladies, I give them readings. But yeah, sometimes you can hit off, but that taught me a lesson. You've got to be very careful what message you give.
Yeah.
It's not actually doing a 1-to-1 with somebody, but if there's a crowd of people, like in this case, this woman's friends were there, and I put my foot right in it. But I've done it before. I've done it as a medium circle. I was around someone's house where we were sitting in another circle with a group of people, and the medium says, "Right, Derek, you're on first. You come on, give me something." So I said, "Well, I've got keys." I said, "Something about a set of keys." I said, "I'm not quite sure if it's for you or this other. His was then his new girlfriend." I said, "Or if she of her."
Yeah.
And she had a face like thunder. He went pure white. Well, as it transpired, she wanted to move into his house, and he'd got some keys cut, which were the wrong keys, which didn't fit when she tried them in the door. So they'd obviously had a big row about it before we had the medium circle. And of course, I've gone in, opened my mouth up, completely nearly started a row between the two of them again. Basically, he said, "I can't believe you've come out with that." I could see her face looking like thunder and his face like white. Oh no. What? So you have to be very careful what you say. But I'm more known from a UFO experience, if I'm honest. I mean, I wouldn't say I've had more experience than anybody else, but I'm 65 now, so I've been around a long time with this sort of thing. But if I can, I'll tell you, I'll start with the first big experience I had in Rendlesham Forest in 2012.
Yes, please. That's what I was going to ask you next.
Right. Well, I wasn't alone. I had my son and my brother with me. At the time, my son was like about in his early 30s, and my brother was sort of mid 40s. I'm the oldest one in the family. Elaine is my little baby sister. Yeah. She's only a youngster. She's younger than what she looks. Oh, Christ, I forgot she's listening, isn't she? I'll be careful what I say.
You're going to get slapped for that in a bit.
Now, well, the thing is, Elaine, my brother, my son, we've all had experience in Rendlesham Forest, either together or separately. And the same goes with Alex as well. I've had experiences with Alex. I've had experiences with Elaine. And Elaine's fella, Simon, I've had experiences with him. In fact, we've all either single or together had experiences. But listen to this. In 2012, October 1st, 2012, I've took my son and brother to Rendlesham Forest. Now, my son and my brother had never been there. Well, I'm going to take them and show them where the UFO landing sites were, or what we was told was the landing sites. So I've arrived there. We've arrived there 7:30 at night, full moon. A friend of ours turned up who was going to walk round with us, but unfortunately, after about half an hour, he said, "Del, I've just finished work. I can't really do this." But anyway, we've arrived there in a little car park by Eastgate, got out of the car, and when we started talking, all these owls turned up, and every owl and bloody Suffolker turned up and was hooting. They hooted. Now, bear in mind, you've been there, you don't hear many birds, if any, at Rendlesham.
No.
You literally don't. Some places you might have a few birds, but generally speaking, you don't hear many owls either. This night, it sounded like every owl in East Anglia had turned up, I think. We had to shout to one another to make ourselves heard. That's how loud they were.
What, that bad?
That really was, I've never heard them that loud. Anyway, so we're shouting to one another to make ourselves heard. There's me, my son, and our friend Jonathan. We stood there in the car park, chatted or shouted, shall I say, for the first 15, 20 minutes. Then we walked down the road to the main logging track where basically everything kicked off, if you like.
Yeah.
And we got to there, we stood outside on the road, facing the track. And my friend said, look, Del, he said, you don't mind, if you three can go, I'll meet up with you another day. I'm not feeling so good, just finished work, whatever.
Yeah.
So we've set up the logging track, right? Which is where all the military is supposed to have gone in 1980. Yeah. So we're walking up the track and we get, I don't know, 3/4 of the way up. And the last crossroads you come to is a footpathy crossroads up this track. And we're heading towards Capel Green. And all of a sudden, the temperature went freezing cold. Just like that quick. And just that happened, my brother said, Del, I can't breathe. Now, he's standing behind me. He couldn't breathe. My son's standing next to me. And just he said that, all these things appeared. A whole line of shadow soldiers lined up beside us. Right? I mean, a whole line of them, about a dozen. Yeah. They were soldiers, but they were shadow soldiers, so explain them. And I'm looking at them thinking, what the heck's going on? And then to my right-hand side, these little monks appeared. 4 little monks, like, have you ever seen the film Communion? Little monks like that, only these were like hooded monks. They're ETs. Yeah. The first thing I got was they're ETs. That's what I got in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them thinking, what's going on? Now, my brother still can't breathe on my head, but we kind of forgot about them because anything else was going on. So my son's facing off the soldiers. I'm staring at these monks, and I don't know what my brother was doing. He just couldn't breathe at the back. He was doubled up. And then, now this is going to sound totally ridiculous, but bear with me on this, right? This giant has appeared. This thing, I'd say 14, 15 foot tall. And my son said, Dad, look at that. And I'm staring at this thing in front of it. It's blocking our path going forward.
Yeah.
And I looked at this thing. I'm thinking, bloody hell. It's ginormous. And it had legs like tree trunks. Real big. I thought, blimey. And a long black coat on. And I'm looking at it thinking, bloody hell, what is this? And its face, I don't know if it had a mask on or if it was its face. We called it the Owl Man because we didn't know how best to describe it. It looked a bit like an Anglo-Saxon mask, if I'm honest. But the pure size of this thing was ginormous. And my son saying, Dad, look at his fingers. And it's like, no, if I said witchy fingers, you understand what I mean? Really long fingers.
Long and pointed and bony.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, the fingers. And that's how clear we could see it, and it's getting closer and closer. And we're staring at it, and I thought, at that moment in time, I got frightened. I'm thinking, I'm leading my son and my brother into danger. This is all new to me. I've seen UFOs and stuff, but this was totally new. And I was standing there thinking, if the 3 of us rushed it, that would bounce us like rag dolls. Do you know what I mean? It was that big. But it wasn't walking it like it was floating towards us. So we're standing there, and bearing in mind, I had a stroke a few years before, so there's no chance of me running anywhere. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I felt protected. The thing that I got from the small ETs were that I was protected. We all felt protected.
Right.
But I'm thinking, so I said, look, should we back up a bit? Because I didn't know what to do. I thought, I'll get these 2 out of here. It's my idea to go in there, and now I'm leaving the trouble. So I said, should we back up? And just as I said that, it's like something whacked a tree, like, sod off. Do you know what I mean?
A warning sign.
Yeah. So we backed up about 20 yards, and the temperature rose a bit, and my brother was able to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, we stood there, and because as we moved, the shadow soldiers moved with it, and so did the monks. So we thought, well, we're not going to go forward. And this giant was forcing us back, literally forcing us back.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's no way we're going to confront this thing, because it was honestly, it was frightening.
Yeah.
So to walk where we was, right, and I've done this 1,000 times, from that point to the road takes about 40-45 minutes, yeah?
Yeah.
It's quite a long walk, because not far from Capel Green, walking up that track.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And bearing in mind, I'd had a stroke a couple of years before, so I couldn't run it, or couldn't walk for it and run. So
Yeah.
we started backing up, and as we walked down the road, when we stopped, everything stopped round us as well. Now, to be honest with you, Andy, I've been thrown out of a few pubs, right? I've never
Yeah.
been thrown out of a forest right, by strange beings, right?
Yeah.
And when I say we was escorted out of the forest, right? So we're walking back, and every time we stop, I had to keep stopping for a breather, see?
Yeah.
Then everything stopped with us. So we've got the shadow soldiers one side and the small monks the other side, and they stopped with us. The only thing that forced an issue was the giant, because that just kept trying to push us back and push us back. Now
Right.
you're trying to understand what's going on. You're thinking, well, the further back we went, the temperature rose more. Now my brother was in a bad state, because I presumed it's because he couldn't breathe, but as
Yeah.
the temperature rose, he was able to breathe more. But what I didn't realise was what actually happened at that point where we was. But anyway, we kept walking back, and when we stopped, they stopped. Eventually, we got to the road, stepped onto the road, and everything vanished. Everything vanished.
Oh.
So we've hurried back up the road, got in the car park, and mine was the only kind of car park. I had a BMW in them day.
Yeah.
Opened up the car doors to let a bit of light out. We lit a cigarette up. I got my brother, who's in the front with me. My son was standing, who's in the back, and we both lit fags up, having a fag shaking. And just when you think it's all over, my son said, Dad, behind you. So I thought, what? Turn around. I thought, what the? These little beans, silvery blue beans, about that tall, actually in the
Yeah.
car park. And I felt quite brave at that point, because they're only small, right? And they're
Yeah.
only about that tall, 8 inches tall, 10 inches
Yeah.
tall. And but from them, we stand looking down at them, and we got a loving feeling from them. It was kind of like they were checking we was okay. Really sounds strange, but bear with me a minute. Had I been
Yeah.
on my own, I'd have said I was having a breakdown. But I
Right.
wasn't. I've got my son and my brother with me, all experience the same things.
Yeah.
So we're looking down at these things, trying to work out what we're looking at, really. It was like it's like looking at some little puppies that look in a loving way. Do you know
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
feeling we got. So then, while we're standing there, then the ground started to shake, like a bit like when you're in the London Underground when the train passes.
Oh,
deep
yeah. And you
down.
get that little rumble.
Yeah, well, that's what happened in that little car park. Yeah, with a lot of people, loads of people have felt that before, but that happened that night.
Oh.
So we stand there, and we hear this rumbling of something passed underground. At that point, my brother said, "Right, Del, get us out of here. Just get us out of here." So we've jumped in the
Yeah.
car. I'm doing, and I'll swear to God, I'm doing about 100 mile an hour up that road to get us out of the forest, right? And then my brother said, as soon as you can, pull over. So I skidded to a stop at the T junction.
Yeah.
My brother said, not here, you idiot, get us out of the forest. Well,
Yeah.
I thought he wanted to be sick. Do you know what I mean? Because we just was in shock,
Yeah.
So I got us out of the forest, went through Melton, pulled onto the A12 and pulled in a little slip road.
Yeah.
I said, well, go on then, 'cause I thought you wanted to get out and be sick. He said, no, Dale, something got me. So when something
Oh.
got you? He said, well, I couldn't breathe. Something was holding me in the forest. I said, well, I couldn't see nothing. I mean, my son couldn't either. Anyway, brother
Yeah.
undone his jacket, rolled up his shirt, and he had blood coming down from either collarbone.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
like being pushed. Like,
That would have been holding him, yeah. But there was no holes in his jacket, no holes in his shirt. There was blood on his shirt where
yeah.
something got him. Anyway, so we flew back to my house, which is like half-hour drive.
Yeah.
Pulled up, come indoors. I made a cup of coffee. My son went and grabbed his laptop and said, I'm looking up demons and giants, Dad. As he opened his laptop, it come up giants. They were trying to communicate with us. My
Oh my
brother
God.
started freaking out at this point. Right, I said, Matthew, just shut the laptop. Just shut the laptop.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the time thinking it's 5 to 10. There's no way we could have drove to Rendlesham, walked all the distance we went, walked back, then drove back home, we couldn't have done it in the time. We gained an hour. Honestly, we must have gained an hour because we checked the clocks, we checked the computer. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, we gained an hour. So anyway, I made a cup of coffee. I got my brother to take his shirt off, and I took a picture of his injuries. I haven't got them now. That was on my old phone I had, but I did have them at the time. So I look at my brother's injuries, and I'm thinking, but we were trying to work out because we didn't see nothing holding him. But what must have happened was, what I didn't realise was, and I now believe what happened was, some stage at that point, we must have been abducted because my brother, we now know, has got an alien implant in his shoulder. And I've got one in my leg. Yeah. Now, we never see this happen. I can only presume my son's got one somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, we sat at about 2 o'clock in the morning talking about what happened. And then my brother said, right, Del, I'm going home. I don't know what's happened here tonight, but I'm going home. I was me going home, living bloody Devon. He said, I know I live, Del. He said, I'm going home.
Jeez.
7 hours drive he had. He jumped
No,
in
it's
his
the
car.
other side of the country, isn't it?
It is. He jumped in his car and drove home, but didn't speak to me or my son for over a year. It was what shocked us, Joe. That was the shock of what happened. And the only reason he got back in touch again, he heard me on the radio doing a radio show about it. And then he got in touch again, and then he's come back again, and he's met with Brenda Butler, and Brenda Butler explained a few things to him what we've been involved with.
Yeah.
But then when he's come back, now he's discovered he's got an alien chip. I don't know if you've got one, Andy, but they are brilliant, right? I know that
I've got one in my right arm. I did have one in my nose, but I pulled it out.
Oh yeah, I've had no people having fall out. Well, as you know, if you say you walk into a haunted house, for example, that moves about. Your chip moves about. If there's a UFO close by or ETs, they move about. Them chips move.
Does it feel like a muscle spasm?
Yeah, it does.
Right. That makes sense now then.
And that's generally if there's something close to you.
Yeah.
Well, basically what happened was when we went back to the forest, now my brother comes down every chance he can. But one of the funny things happened was John Hanson, I don't know if you ever know John Hanson, but he wrote the volumes, I'll show you one actually, Haunted Skies volumes.
I recognise the name.
Yeah. Right, he wrote these, can you see that volume, Haunted Skies?
Yes.
There's about 11 of these volumes. That's John Hanson, he done these.
Right, okay.
Well, when he heard about our encounter in the forest, Brenda Butler, his friend of Brenda Butler's, we'd been back to the forest with Brenda Butler and sure all where it happened. Well, he come down to investigate, to take statements, and investigate. Well, so we took him to the spot where this all happened, and you could not make this up. He had the similar experience in exactly the same spot with Brenda when they see a giant in the same spot, same place we had the encounter. He didn't have the shadow soldiers in his one, and he didn't have the little small monks, but he did have the giant appear.
Right.
And the same thing happened. The giant stopped him going forward. Now, I happen to know that the other side of where the giant was standing is now as a portal gate, a gateway for a portal.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned since been going to the forest. I mean, I went back to the forest thousands of times with Alex, for example, with my sister.
But didn't you say use it? Is it Capel Green? That's right down the other end, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
That's going out towards like on the coast part.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where most of apparently the action happened as far as 1980 concerned.
Okay.
But 1980 incident was over several nights, not one night. Is over 2 or 3 nights at least. Actually, I can tell you that of what I know.
Yeah.
So I've had this experience with these beings, and it they stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
But if we move on back to 1980, in 1980, I lived in Essex, near Clacton-on-Sea.
Yeah.
And on a particular night, on a Sunday night, I left a little village called Wheelie Black Boy, actually. I was in the pub. 10:30. It was early closing on a Sunday. That's how I know what the date was.
Yeah.
I left the pub with my mate and was going to run his girlfriend back to her house. because we both had to work the next day. So 10:30, we left the pub, took his girlfriend back. On the way back home to Wheelie, above us, we see a big ball of fire falling out the sky. Yeah, this
Oh,
is December
yeah.
1980. And when I say a ball of fire, it was a ball of fire above Clacton, and it was falling out the sky, and it just stopped. And my mates who was with me said, "Dale, if that hits Clacton, that's going to total Clacton." It was a massive ball of fire. And then
Yeah.
it changed direction. It started heading, if you look at the map, through Harwich, over to Felixstowe, over to Rendlesham, shall I say. Yeah. So this ball of fire, now I'm watching this, what is that? I said, well, that's got to be controlled. Let's just change direction. Look, it went from falling to earth to hanging the right, for want of a better word. So we tried following it in the car, right? And we tried cut all the back roads through to Harwich to see where it went. And every time we went round a bend, you expected to see the place on fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't see nothing on fire. And we got as far as we could, nearly to Harwich and Parkson, but we lost sight of it. So anyway, we drove back home. But that really bothered me, what I'd seen. So I looked in the paper the next day, nothing. The day after that, I've then rung the local paper.
Yeah.
And the woman on the end of the line said they'd been inundated with calls that people had seen this, right? But what they posted in the paper was a little tiny bit about that big.
Right.
It could have been an old satellite falling out the sky or something. Well, that ain't what happened. The thing changed direction.
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned, now that was in 1980, yeah? December 1980 that was. Now, I didn't know about the Rendlesham incident till it came out in the News of the World, actually, in 1983.
Yeah.
And by that time, I'd already joined Essex UFO Group because I was bothered about what I'd seen in the sky.
Yeah.
Anyway, then the News of the World thing comes out about the UFO in Rendlesham Forest. And then over the years, I've now realised what I see was obviously to do with that because it was a Sunday night.
Yes.
And it was the 27th, 28th of December, 1980.
Yeah.
Now, since then, I have held a conference with Colonel Holt. I've met Colonel Holt, Penniston, Burroughs, Larry Warren. In fact, most of the people who were actually big names that were involved with the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is there is a narrative that you see on TV. Yeah. That narrative, and there is a narrative, is to guide everybody up the garden path. Right.
Yes.
And big time up the guide path. Now, I've met Colonel Holt. I put the conference on with him. In fact, if you go on YouTube and look up Colonel Holt in Woodbridge in 2015, you'll see him on the BBC News interviewing him, and you'll see me standing behind him. Do you know what I mean? That's BBC come out to film it. So, but Colonel Holt, real gentleman. But there is no doubt in my mind that there's a narrative, and they're following that narrative. Now, I know what I see. Yeah. Now, what I didn't realise at that moment in time was them big balls of fire that you see falling from the sky, which would appear to happen in different countries to different things.
Yeah.
When they stop and change direction, there were UFO inside. And the UFO somehow extinguishes the fire around it.
Right.
It's like it turns a valve on, the whole ball of fire extinguishes, and you just see the craft.
Right.
So why there's a ball of fire around it when they come out the sky, I don't know. I really don't know. Unless it's to do with speed, or I really don't know.
Don't know.
But apparently the fire extinguishes, somehow the UFO extinguishes the fire and it just carries on as a disc. Because I could never understand, if that landed anywhere near Rendlesham, that would have set the whole place on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
It's all pine trees, isn't it, really?
It is. It is. I mean, since I've been going to Rendlesham, bear in mind what I've just told you, one of my own experience I've had there with my son and my brother, and there's been many. We've seen UFOs there. I've got a picture of a UFO there. And something else I'll share with you, I don't know if you know this, up till Christmas last year, this Christmas just gone, 2 weeks before Christmas, I used to, all the last couple of years I've been doing healing now because I'm a qualified Reiki healer.
Yeah.
The only reason I've done Reiki was because you need a certificate to do healing. and that's the nearest thing I could find was Reiki.
Right. Okay.
What I found in Rendlesham, and you can go there, anybody can go there and listen in and look for yourself. Eastgate car park, where the little Eastgate car park is,
Yeah.
to the side of it, you've got the runway. Yeah. The opposite side of the runway, yeah,
Yeah.
dead opposite Eastgate, there's a portal area. I was doing healing at.
Right.
Now, when I say healing at, I've got, this is going to sound ridiculous, but bear with me with this. We found that people were getting cured at this particular spot.
Yeah.
And how we actually found this spot was me and Brenda and Bernie, we used to do tours around Rendlesham Forest. We have done for years on off, you know. Well, we used to start off at a place called Area 1, which is dead opposite Eastgate, the other side of the runway.
Right.
Now, at Area 1, we know for a fact there's at least 2 UFO landings in that spot. All right.
Ah,
Now, when the military found out that Brenda and Peter Parrish had found that spot, they bulldozed it, dug the earth up, hid a load of stuff up. Yeah.
yeah.
They hid, and Brenda Butler got radiation burns. Peter
Yeah.
Parrish has got radiation burns, and Brenda's dog died, radiation poisoning.
Oh.
All right? Now, that's the spot where the military will never ever show it. No one will show you.
Right.
But over the years, now I've got a picture of a golden being in that spot. It's an ET, actually, I think, a golden being in that spot. The picture that Brenda Butler took. In fact,
Right.
Peter Parrish in the same picture, actually. So is Brenda's dog, where it died.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing the healing at that spot, which I've been in for the last few years, it was really strange. How we found it, we used to do tours of the forest, and we'd start off at Area 1 to take people around the forest.
Yeah.
And what would happen was you have people in wheelchairs and on crutches that, you know, you try pushing a wheelchair through there, you can imagine.
Bad enough walking.
Yeah. And you can't sort of say people can't join in. Do you know what I mean? So you do your best to sort of get people to that spot.
Yeah.
Well, what was happening was people had to get out in the wheelchairs, right, to get over the lumps in the roots and over the tree.
Yeah.
And they started walking. Now, I'm not saying they were cured, but then they get the wheelchairs off the crutch and they started walking a bit better. And then they still have not walked this far in years.
Oh.
So we thought there's something special about this spot, this particular spot. We didn't know what it was then. Also, we found that birds migrate to that little tiny bit of the forest. Now, you know how big Rendlesham Forest is, but birds migrate to that one little tiny bit of the forest every year. So I knew there was something special there.
Yeah.
Well, then a load of strange things happened over the last few years. One of the things was I lost a set of keys, which is nothing new. I've also got, and I'll just show you this, I've got a 2,000-year, see that? Can you see that on camera?
Oh, like a spearhead.
It's a 2,000-year-old Roman spearhead. Yeah?
Yeah.
I lost that about 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, one day, about a year ago, they appeared back in my drawer. So, and by now I'm doing spiritual stuff, so I'm a bit more aware of things.
Yeah.
So I asked Spirit why my keys have suddenly appeared in the spearhead. And what Spirit said was, you've got the keys to the portal because your intentions are pure and you're using it for the right purposes. And the spearhead represents your spirit destiny. Well, this might sound crazy to you and all the listeners in there, but let me say this to you. I've had Southend group. I've had 2 groups in Glastonbury there. I've had Bevis Edmonds group. I've had people from Ipswich. I've had mediums from everywhere you can imagine come along just so I could, not to make me look stupid, but just to see this for real. And I was doing it for real. 2 weeks before Christmas, I've got a fellow contacted me, him and his wife, both mediums.
Yeah.
She's got multiple sclerosis. And he said, Derek, can you just help us? He said, I wouldn't ask you. He said, but I don't know what way to turn. The doctors can't help her. She's in a wheelchair. She's got worse. So I said, well, meet me there. Meet me at the car park. I'll take you down. So I took him to this spot. So she's in a wheelchair. he's pushing her. Got to the spot. Of course, then helicopters. They do helicopter training there a couple of times a week.
Oh, right, okay.
So there she's in a wheelchair. Helicopters flying about. Then the helicopters flying above us. So I said to them, look, ignore the helicopter. I said, they're just training. And she's sitting in a wheelchair looking up and said, no, they're not doing it. They're filming us. And they were filming out the side of the helicopter, actually filming us, right?
Yeah.
At that point, I knew they're going to stop me. That was it. I knew that's it. They're on me now. They're going to stop it.
Watching what was going on.
They have been. Well, as it transpired, they did stop me. About a week after that, just around the Christmas period, Brenda Butler got in touch. Said, Derek, we've got to have a medium circle, just a few of us, to do a Rendlesham. She said, there's some messages for you.
Yeah.
And Spirit come through and said that they're going to stop you doing this healing there. Not to worry though, because I can do it anyway. It doesn't have to be at that spot. But what I was using for healing wasn't Reiki. It was the energies of the trees and the plants about. How shall I explain this? You heard that plants have healing energies, yeah?
Yes.
Well, you tune into the plants' energies and the trees' energies.
Yeah.
And that's what was helping people.
Right.
But anyway, long story short, 2 weeks before Christmas, you'll see that the whole of the area is closed off. Now, what's happened is that just the area where I was doing the healing, they've fenced it off, they've put warning signs, they've emptied a lorry load of earth right by the footpath beside the runway. You can drive down there today or tomorrow and you can see it for yourself. There's all these warning signs all around while doing the healing. Keep out danger. What they've really been doing is digging holes down into the ground. Yeah. It's below ground where the energy is. There's a grid system, and I shouldn't tell this, but I'm going to tell you, what the hell? I'm 65. They're going to kill me. What happened? There's a grid system. There's a grid system throughout this whole planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's controlled by ETs, UFOs, the ancients. The ancients built it.
Yeah.
And basically, they will not allow humans to use the grid system because we're turning it into a weapon. But if you imagine, and they're triangle shaped, they're all triangles joined together, which, believe it or not, is the same size as the Great Pyramid. You imagine if you put the Great Pyramid sides, the shape of it, and you put 4 of them together, it makes it square shaped. Yeah, you with me? That's what it is. That's how they do it. The grid system is throughout the world. Now, I know as not the whole. I don't know where all the places that goes, but I have, through coincidence, I happen to get a part map of some of this grid system. Yeah. So I know I'm right where I'm spot on where the healing was. Yeah. There's a guy who come down my shop to see me, and he has got beehives, and he had them on base just the other side on the runway, actually on the base there. Oh. And he come and see me. He said, Del, he said, I heard you doing this healing. He said, you're spot on with that place. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I've got beehives on the base, which is not a straight line across, it's an angle because it's mid-shape. He said, that's where I've got my beehives on the base. He said, if I move the beehive 10, 15 foot either way of that line, the bees either bugger off or we don't get much honey. He said, but if I put it on that line, we get 2 or 3 times as much honey as anywhere else. Anywhere else got the beehives. It's a power line. It's a bit like I know you've got ley lines about, but this is something different. This is a proper grid system. I think it was built by the ancients. Well, I was told it was built by the ancients, and UFOs can power them up. Now, might sound crazy, but you think about the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, think what I'm saying here. Triangle shaped. Or if you go to Wales, you've got the Welsh Triangle. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Think of the triangle shape there. What's the same at Rendlesham? Exactly the same. And I just happened to hit on a hot spot. That's all it was. I just found it. And anyway, the different groups I've taken there, I've proved a point. From my point, I've got nothing to prove to anybody. Do you know what I mean? No. I've just been there to try and help people. It's a shame that for whatever reason, the foresters suddenly decide they're going to chop the trees down. And it was all started because the military filmed me there. That's what started it, but who cares?
Yeah.
I've only done one healing since then. I had a few months back, I had a Larry Warren, you heard of him from
Yeah.
Left Eastgate?
Yeah.
Larry rang me up and said, Derek, I've got a film crew that are coming down. They want to film you with this healing business. They're interested in healing. The Canadian film crew. He
Yeah.
said, are you interested? I said, yeah, I'll come down. So I met with Larry and I met with the film crew. They wanted to film and know more about this healing spot I'd found. Because it turns out people have found them all over the world, like what I found, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
So I'd done the interview with them, and they were late getting. The time they got there, it was afternoon, and then they had to go around the forest and film. We'd done the film, we'd done the interview. They filmed it, done it, and right at the end of the night, they said, "Look, Derek, can you do some healing on Larry? Because Larry's not well or wasn't well."
Yeah.
So 12 o'clock at night, in that little car park, in the dark, pouring with frigging rain. We've opened up the back of the car a little bit lighter. I said, Derek, can you do the healing here? I couldn't take him over to where I was doing the healing because it's all closed off. So I said, yes. So what I done was, and I don't know if you've seen healing before, but how I do it, everyone's got their own way to do it. How I do it was, I give Larry that to hold, yeah,
Oh, right,
his spare head. I set the intentions, which you have to do, and you do the prayers, intention, doing it however. Everyone got their own way of doing it, yeah? Reiki's different again, but I don't use Reiki. I use the energies of what's around me.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to film this, right? So they started filming one doing this healing with Larry in the rain, 12 o'clock at night, in the dark. You couldn't make this up, but at the same time, we can do it. And just as I started, Larry says to the film crew, can you stop? Film just for a minute. This is personal. And in that split second, now it's never happened to me like this before. I've done the healing, but not like this. In that split second, I was looking down on everybody. I was actually looking down, like your higher self, looking down on everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I felt like a giant. I really felt like a giant. I was looking down on them. I can only presume it'd be higher self. Yeah, where your consciousness moves up a level. And it did. So I'm looking down on them. And anyway, I only lasted for a second, and then I'm back to normal again. And I'm thinking I'm the same height as Larry. Yeah, I'm only about 5 foot, whatever, not very tall, mate. But I was the same height as him. But when I was doing the healing, at first moment there, I was looking down on a lot of them, everyone. So, and they took pictures, but they only got some pictures at the same height. They had, but I said, "Like, why do you tell them to stop filming?" He said, "I don't know." Well, this is how the universe works. Sometimes they weren't allowed to film the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, they got enough for their documentary they're doing.
Right.
But the actual area, and anyone can go to Rendlesham Forest, you can go and look at that spot. What they've been doing, they've been digging down into the earth to see what's there. Now, a couple of years ago, I went to an Awakening conference in Blackpool.
Yes.
And I spoke to Marie Wheatley, who mentioned a similar thing on one of her talks, yeah?
Yes.
And what she was saying was, she said, supposing you've got, say, a stone circle, or you've got a temple or a church, she said somewhere outside would be a high energy spot, a sacred spot, where the healers would stand, or the elite would stand. Now, then she said, and basically they would stand there, and what happens is, and the spot I found in Rendlesham was exactly the same. In fact, I had one of the carers that brought one of their ladies who was ill, dying with cancer actually, and an African lady, should I say. She said, could she join in? And I had Brenda Butler. I had a whole line of people I was trying to help. There probably, say there was a dozen people there, all lined up, yeah? There was, I think, 2 in wheelchairs, and I had some other chairs that I took long for them to sit on. And what they have to do, you have to have your feet on the ground. And what happens is all the negative in you drains out it sucks it all out of you and puts positive stuff in. Yeah. But the negative is drained out of you. That's how it works. And you are then able to do the healing, perform healing. Well, the African lady, she'd come along and, like I say, she joined in. And when I'd finished, she said, "That's brilliant. She said, I've seen this done in Africa. Twice,
Yeah.
2 different villages she'd see in Africa." She said, and what would happen was the healer would go off somewhere. Nobody knew where he was going. Go off
Yeah.
somewhere and come back and perform miracles. She said, and that's what you're doing here. You're doing exactly what I've seen in Africa.
Ah,
But the difference was, she said, you're doing the whole lot in one spot.
yeah.
But giving that example, things happen. I also, what I have done when I've had people there, and any that have been there with me will back me up on this. The first couple of guys I took one of the top healers in this area where I live. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a psychic healer. One of the best. He's one of the biggest names in the area. I got him to come, and I took one of my neighbours.
Yeah.
And I said, look, come along. And at first he wasn't mega interested, but then he asked Spirit and they told him to come. So the next day he rang me up and I took him to the forest, took him to the spot, showed him what I'd found. And I'd asked for a sign. I'd asked for a sign that I'm doing this right. And I've got a round chart that I use. It's a bit like, it's not an Ouija board, but it's perhaps could be described as a bit like an Ouija board. I won't use Ouija boards, but this thing I use with a pendulum. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I asked Spirit if I was doing it right. They said yes, and I asked questions, and I get yes or no, and whatever the answer is. And I asked for a sign. But when we left that bit of the forest, we walked onto sort of the road. The sign was a whole cloud of butterflies land on the three of us. An entire cloud, all these different butterflies land on us. Another time, I had about half a dozen mediums there. One lady's in a wheelchair. Another lady couldn't walk properly. Done the first bit at the healing spot, yeah. Then I took another part of the forest where it was a bit more sunny, so you could do the healing in the sun. And I asked for a sign. And what happened was, 2 of the ladies, 3 of them with me, could do Reiki. So I've already got rid of the negative out of them. Went to this other spot, and they were performing Reiki on the person in the wheelchair to start with. And I got my own thing that I do, yeah, which in this case was asked for a sign. And what happened was, you could hear like the wind building up outside the forest. It's a bit like a wave coming in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just as they finished doing the Reiki, the wind blew all the bad energies away. And then we got the first lady out of the wheelchair and put another lady in the wheelchair. And same thing happened again. A gust of wind builds up, and then blew all the negative energies away again. We've had another time, and Brenda's was with me at this time, and Bernie.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, there's a whole, I think it's about a dozen people for this one. Some deer turned up. You know, they've got deer in Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah.
The deer turned up, and I'm walking up the road, and I'm thinking, look at that deer. It's a big stag deer. It's deer, isn't it? I mean, mate, it's just a deer. The deer stepped out on the road and just say, yeah, of course I'm a frigging deer. Do you know what I mean? And then the deer led us, all these people with me, led us down the track and to exactly where I was doing the healing. Actually led us in.
Wow.
And that's just one of many things. But what I've learned in Rendlesham, what you think are deer aren't always deer.
No.
Yeah, you've got your shapeshifting stuff that happens and that.
Yeah.
But I was actually quite sad when I got stopped doing the healing, to be honest with you, because, you know, it was different. I've had, like I say, Glastonbury group. I had 2 groups from Glastonbury come up, and trust me, they are as good as you're going to get, some of them. Well, all of healers are. You know, they do this all the time, these different healers, and I've had loads of them there. Absolutely loads. And people you've tried to help, you know. But you know, you've got about a dozen people lined up that need your help, and hospitals can't help them. And you're trying to help people who think, and I don't charge for this, I'm just doing it because I was able to do it. But it's all come to a standstill now, though. But Marie Wheatley said that the spot that I'd found was similar to what she'd found in different places around the world.
Right, okay.
And obviously the elite kept it to themselves, because obviously whoever can do it has got the power, haven't they? You know where to stand. So they are high energy spots. So I think next to the runway there, underground, besides the fact we've got the triangle shaped grid system, there could
Yeah.
be some ancient sites under the ground. Now,
It wouldn't surprise me.
well, there's a bit more to this, I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
Last year or the year before, I'd done some filming for a film. I'm in a film whenever it comes out. And the director, he said, I've heard you doing this healing deal. He said, where exactly did you do that? I said, well, over there. I told him it was. He said, listen, you've got to talk to Andrew Collins off Ancient Aliens. I said, really? He said, yeah, he's been there. He's been there with Ancient Alien groups. And they've found something similar to what you're talking about. He said, you've got to talk to him. I said, well, funny enough, I'm going to see him next week. So do you know Andrew Collins? I said, well, no, but he's a member of Southend UFO group, and so am I, and I'm going to see him. He's on. He happened to be on his stage. He said, really? Now, what is the chances that following week, and I met up with him? So I had a chat to Andrew, I told Andrew Collins what I was doing. And half the Southend group, well, not half one, but a big number of the Southend group have been to the forest, seen me doing the healing, and they've done their own test, whether it be with dowsing rods, electronic equipment. And what would happen was they'd walk to that area, say with dowsing rods, electronic equipment, and nothing. As the moment I walk into it, it comes alive. Yeah, I'm nothing special, by the way. It's just what the gift I was given to do the healing with, and they couldn't believe it. I mean, the dowsing rods would follow me about, or the electric right? Wow! But that was really something special. What I found there, I was upset because it hasn't stopped. Yes, I can't do it at that spot. Yeah, which is a shame because all the negative drains out of you. That's the secret of that spot. But I'm able to do. I've got me. I got my artifact still, so I can still do it, and I have done it. But,
I was going to say we're just coming up to a break now, but before we do, just want to say to you that when I met Alex and we went to Rendlesham, so where we parked in the car park and walked across the first bit of the UFO trail,
that's it.
You're down that bit, then as you're coming up to the next part, like where you seen the monks and that thing on the floor, as we're walking up there was hundreds of butterflies.
Really?
There's hundreds of butterflies. The floor was crawling with grasshoppers and crickets, and there's hundreds of dragonflies as well, just on that one strip. And then when you get to the end of that junction, where you've seen that thing on the floor and the monks, where the tree is, as soon as we got to there, it all just died down. Just on that one strip, about 100 yards.
It does all the same with the birds. The birds are the same. Certain places there's birds chirping. Majority of the forest there's no birds.
Yeah, but it's like we'd stop and the butterflies would try landing on you, and
that's it.
I mean, there was it weren't just like people do exaggerate when they say there's that many. But I tried taking photos, but in a photograph it doesn't pick it up. But on the floor was moving with crickets and grasshoppers. You had to watch where you were stepping. Because normally you can hear the odd one or two and the grass. Yeah. But it's just like...
It's not normal, is it?
Never seen that many.
It's not normal, is it? In fairness, you think all the places you've been, you've probably never seen that before.
No, never.
And there's no rhyme or reason why it should be there, but it is. They're magical places, they're high energy places.
Yeah.
But I've had some experience with Alex as well, and I'll tell you about them in the second half.
Yeah. Well, we've got some questions for you as well.
Yeah,
so in the second half, we do the questions first.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things I want to ask you what Alex had told me when he's been out with you anyway, which is probably what you're going to be talking about. So
yeah.
Right, all right then. Right, we'll do a 3-minute break and then we'll come straight back in.
Okay.
Right, guys. See you in 3 minutes.
Right, 3 minutes.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, and well, I am back. Derek should be back in a moment. What I've done, I've put a poll up at the beginning, asking about whether we should keep the time change. Whether we should keep. No, you're all right. I'm just doing a quick update. It's all good. I've just put a poll up on YouTube at the start, asking if we should keep the same start time or bring it to an earlier time. So the options were 7 a.m. I wish 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. or keep it at 8 o'clock. You guys decide. So yeah, we'll check it out at the end, and whatever the majority is, that's what we'll go with. So that's that. Right. So back to you, Derek. Should we go through the questions?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Right, so we'll do them in running order. So the first one's from Nickname. Can Derek tell us some lesser-known cases about the Rendlesham area?
Yes. Yes, I can. Quite a few, actually. There's several. Just example. One night, you can check this out. It was in the local paper. Taxi driver driving past, see a train full of people driving through the forest. Yeah.
What?
A train full of people driving through the forest, like a steam train.
Yeah.
Right. Now, he warned people not to go in there because he said this is scary. He said this really. He had someone with him as well. He had people in the car as well.
Yeah.
It appeared in the local paper. But I actually met a guy who also said it the same night. Now, what this guy said, he's a friend of Brenda Butler's. I won't say his name on here. Well, I'll say his first name. His name's Terry. He's a friend of ours. He's round my house with Brenda a couple of weeks ago. He told me this story about a train that he see in the forest. Now, he told Brenda about this train. He said it was full of people. And Brenda thought, oh, yeah, I reckon. well, then, some people from the campsite who were camping there also come up. They'd seen the train, right? There's no rails there. It was a train full of people. They just appeared. It's like a time slip, yeah?
Yes, someone's just put that in the chat.
Yeah, so that's just one. Another one, which was quite funny because one of you mentioned Nick Pope earlier on.
Yeah,
I was doing a talk at East Anglian Group, and BBC Radio Suffolk got in touch. Would I go and do half hour talking about Rendlesham Forest to them? Well, then, just literally an hour before the show, they contacted me and said, "Can you just come on and just do a quarter of an hour because we've got Nick Pope on?" I thought, oh, brilliant. But anyway, Nick Pope came on and done his bit, and then it was my turn. I had like 15 minutes to do half an hour talking, you know. But after that show had finished, the radio host said, "Anybody else got any strange stories about Rendlesham Forest?" Well, I'd heard about this before, but I'll tell you what happened. Back in the 80s, a guy used to go shooting there, go shooting deer and rabbits. Oh, right. And him and two mates went there with their guns, got dropped off because obviously they didn't want the car about because of if they get caught by the police, it's illegal to hunt there. Yeah. Well, they're walking up, not the track you're talking about, but the track further along. Track was now track 10, I think it's called. But when they walked up the track, it was really strange. They've got their guns, and then they couldn't see any rabbits, and then this big rabbit thing appeared, right? And they look at the size of that rabbit, and they're staring at it, and then it's a dog man. It stood up, and it was ginormous, right? And it started coming towards them. So they stood there and they started to run. Like Ben, when they got guns in their hands, they started to run and they got panicky. So they run, and it literally was chasing them. This thing on two legs, it went from 4 legs to 2 legs. It was chasing them. As it was, and it was going to get bigger as they got closer to them. It was like bigger than what they were when it got close. Anyway, they stopped and they took aim. They warned it to stop. Well, they shoot at it. Well, it didn't stop, so they fired at it. Right? They all let off shooting at it, and it's like the bullets were passing through it. That they couldn't stop it. So they run to the road. Two of them kept shooting at it, and the third one got the road first and rung his friend and said, "Quick, get here in the car. Get in the car. It's all gone wrong. It was all kicked off." And he was telling us on the radio show, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
his mates got back to him, and they lined up on the side of the road there, right near the car park, this gate car park, and they were shooting at this thing, right? And
Yeah.
they couldn't stop it. It was like seeing them off. And when the car turned up, they literally threw the guns in the car and roared off. And they
Jeez.
said, and the guy said, "I'm never ever going back there again. Ever
Yeah.
going back there again." Well, I've heard of this similar things before with dogmen, and I've also seen a picture that a certain guy's got of like a Bigfoot type thing, and
Oh.
Brenda was there. He's filmed it. He was doing some filming in the forest, and this Bigfoot thing walked right across in front. It's on the camera. It's on the video camera. It walked in front of him and took sort of one step to get over the whole pathway, and it held its hand up to the camera as he walked past. It's ginormous, and I've seen the film. It's genuine. It's an old VHS camera film.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many different things have happened there you would not believe. I've seen so much myself, but like I say, the guy with the guns. Now we've heard similar things like this before. Well, I call it a dog man. I don't know how you describe it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we've seen similar, and so have a lot of people. We had a big name medium turn up there once that you see on TV. I won't say who it is, mainly 'cause I can't remember the name. But anyway, they've turned up as a woman. There's a woman turned up the husband, right, and got out the car to do a medium bit and see what she describes as a monster. Was that frightened? She got back in the car and buggered off. They'd never come back again. I've got pictures. I've got a picture of something really scary. I can't share it on here right this moment in time. But I've got a picture that Brenda took, and she didn't take a picture of a guy that he was waving as she took the picture. Standing above him was a giant, right? I mean, a giant behind him. And we've got a picture of it. We've got loads of pictures like that, you know. I've got another thing, another area, which is on near where I done the healing, on the same line. And we was told to go there from a friend of ours that used to serve there. And what he told us was, he told to go to what I call the back gate, which is where these UFOs landed, that area. That's another reason we went to that area. And we walked between these trees up a little pathway, and we got through it. We had a strange feeling. We walked through it like it's like walking in, how to describe it, like foggy treacle or something. Really strange, eerie feeling. There's a little area. And when we walked through it, got onto the open bit and something to take a picture. So I did. And when I got home, put it on big screen, I thought, that's a bleeding craft, and there's ETs with it. So we went, and I kept getting these messages, like from Spirit, if you like, go back, or ETs, come back, come back. So a couple of weeks later, I went back, and this time I had a load of us went, and we went to the exact spot. We looked at the ground, and there was like a something like a tripody thing had landed there, the three marks in the ground. Anyway, we stepped back, went to take pictures. When we held our cameras up, there's a UFO. It's still there. We'd walked through it. It wasn't solid. We walked through it, right? And these ETs were walking about. And it's going to sound crazy, but it's true. There was a load of us stood there, right? And with our different cameras. So I said to Brenda, right, go and stand next to that craft, right? And I'll get a picture of you next to the craft. And these ET things are all still walking about. I just went to take a picture. And this is one of the first times I learned about universal law. I went to take the picture, and I got charged by a whole herd of deer. I stepped back. Poor old Jean, old girl standing behind me. She fell over. I fell over the top of her. Never got the picture. Well, I asked Spirit why they done that, and what they said was, it's in the now. Now, what that means is, I think it's to do with the time, and you can't have, as I understand this, and I'm starting to be corrected by anybody. But what I found is, sorry about that, that's my dog barking, by the way.
You're right.
You cannot have two dimensions in the same picture. Right now, I've come across it a few times. So, me and say Brenda's in our dimension now, yeah. The craft was either a previous time or in the future. I don't know. But they're two different dimensions, for a better word.
Yeah.
And you can't have two in the same picture. Now, I've come across this before, and I'll quickly tell you this before I answer more questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing a talk here in Felixstowe up on stage, about 70 people in the audience, a lot of mediums there. Several were my teachers, actually, so it gives us the level they're at, yeah?
Yeah.
And doing a talk about UFOs, and I've got my big screen up on stage and pointing things out. Oh, hang on, I'll just shut this door a minute, the dog's kicking off.
Yeah. No
Hang
worries.
on. Can you shut up and look at what the bloody paper? Right.
Also,
Sorry about that. My dog has got an invisible friend that he plays with, right?
right.
Like an orb, yeah? And it comes and
Yeah.
plays with him, and he's in the bedroom playing with it. That's what he's barking at. Anyway,
Right.
I'm up on stage doing this talk, right? All about UFOs and Rendlesham, this and that. When I'm on stage, all of a sudden, everyone started grabbing their cameras and taking pictures of me. So I thought,
Yeah.
that's all right, they're taking pictures. I thought they were taking pictures of me, but they weren't, as it turns out. The guy that runs it stood up and said, anybody got any pictures, please share them with me. What I didn't know was, standing next to me was them little monks that appeared up on stage next to me. Yeah?
Oh.
The little monks I encountered in the forest lined up next to me on stage. Now, I couldn't see them. The audience could. And the two closest mediums to me both had their camera phones up filming, taking pictures. Well, just I finished, they've all come running up, all these people. Look, they show me their pictures on their phone. They were there. There's these ET.
Yeah.
And while I'm looking at them, the pictures were wiping. Say there were 70 people in the audience. Not one picture remained of the ETs on stage with me. Not one.
Wow.
They can just wipe your phone. The technology is just wipe your phone. It's got orbs, yeah? You see an orb with beings in it. It's a technology that we haven't got. Someone's got it, but we haven't. And these technologies. It's a bit like shooting stars. You see a shooting star, we're always told they're shooting stars. Are they shooting stars? Or are they UFOs blinking out?
Oh, we don't know, do we?
We don't.
Do we?
But anyway, if you've got any more questions, I mean, I've got loads of stories on Rendlesham, but go on, go on, read out anything you got.
The next, so that was the about the lesser known ones. Sorry, 1 second. I just need to unstar them as we go. Right, so here's one from UFO Joe. So he's asking, did the shadow soldiers have arms and legs? I'm asking because the one I encountered only had the head shape and the shoulders.
Actually, that's a good point, that, because if I'm honest, they looked to me like my son was the closest, yeah, and the head and the shoulders probably what we could see. Actually, if I'm honest, I mean, my son was close, so I was more interested in the little monks next to me and the giant. I was worried about the giant. No, but I'd say what that fella's seen there is probably what we see.
Yeah.
And I would say that's probably the closest I've ever heard anybody describe them. And what I'd say he's seen is probably what we see.
Yeah.
The top half. So that's
so why do you think you only see that part of him? Why not the full head? Oh,
my guess is, I don't know this for definite, I think that they haven't fully materialized. As I understand it, if they went to full a solid bit, shall I say, solid, they might have done if things had kicked off. Yeah.
Right.
What I believe, and I stand to be corrected by anybody because no one seems to know all the answer to this.
No.
I think that we have guides, in our lives now. We've got spiritual guides and guardians and all sorts come through. I think that the soldiers come through to protect us. That's what I think. I think they turned up to protect us. I don't think they were bad. I did not get a bad feeling off them.
No.
I got a loving feeling and protection from the ETs. That was without doubt. That was the feeling I got from them. The giant, I don't know about that. That was pretty scary
Yeah.
because that could have took the three of us just like that without a problem.
Yeah.
But it didn't
Yeah.
harm us anyway. It was just the size that was threatening, and the way it sort of glided along was threatening. But the soldiers and all times the soldiers and the monks, although they were beside us,
Yeah.
there's like you had a circle round you where the giant couldn't step into. These were I think they're protecting us. And I do honestly believe they were on our side protecting us from what I don't know, but the giant couldn't say. I think if the giant had stepped up to try and grab one of us, I think the soldiers would have stepped in front of it. That's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
thinking. You know, I'm certainly be corrected, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you were
I haven't got
there,
all the
so
answers.
it's how you feel at the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Joe's just added maybe they would interfere with the dimension if they fully materialised. It's just a
Yeah.
theory that he has.
Yeah, no, I would agree with her. He seems to know his stuff, this fella. Yeah, I'd agree with what he says there, actually. I
Yeah.
would agree with that because I've crossed universal law a few times over the years and I've got hurt for it. I've not told you that what happened there yet, but we'll do if we've got time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Next question then. And this is from Andy Byrne. And Andy's asking, has Derek had any reports appear?
Yes. Yes, I
Oh.
have. In actual fact, just hang on 1 second, I'll show you one. 2 seconds and I'll show you one.
Cool.
Right. In Rendlesham Forest, we've had stones appear.
Yeah.
Where they fell out the sky. And basically, when a stone falls out the sky, they're too hot to pick up. So it's a cold night. So it's a snowy or not snowy, but a cold night.
Yeah.
When
Like
the stones
middle of
fall,
winter.
they're hot, not boiling hot. They burn your fingers, but too hot to pick up. You have to leave them for a second. That's how you can tell what's supported because they're warm or hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've got something here to show you. This is going to sound even more crazy than the rest of the stuff. There was a guy that used to serve at Ben Waters called his nickname was Kevin Darkstorm. His real name is Kevin Banks. Yeah, he's dead now, but when he was alive, he come on the Lone Ranger site. Several of the people who run the site had served with him. They knew him, and he had 2 encounters. One in 1976, I believe it was, and one in 1979 at Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah.
The very same spot that we was told to go to, where I use the healing spot there.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things he told me, I've got all his information on my computer. Now he's since died. He died in I think 2013. But he was a good friend to me and Brenda. We never met him, but only ever spoke online.
Yeah.
And we used to share stuff, and he had so much information. He was like 50 years in front of anybody with what he knew about ETs.
Yeah.
Now, what he told me was that one night he's walking back because they used to sneak in through the back gate or the east gate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get back on base. And a lot of them used to sneak in. East gate was the easiest one to sneak into, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he's walking back through the forest, he encountered some blue ETs.
Oh.
And he gave them a gift. And all he had in his pocket left, because he spent all his money being out on the night, it was a guitar plectrum. He played a guitar. He gave them, as a gift, a guitar plectrum. They gave him the gift of knowledge. Yeah. That's why I say he was about 50 years in front of anybody I ever met. He knew his stuff. Well, he told me this story, and I've got it all logged down on the computer, what he told me. Well, then he died, and then a few years after that, Brenda Butler went into a shop in Leiston where she lived, and she'd out of nowhere, as plectrum fell out the sky and landed on a foot. And she looked at it as a plectrum, and she sort of just kicked it off. Well, a couple of days later, she's telling me about this plectrum reporting from the sky. I said, well, did you get it? She said, no. Well, I said, well, go back and get it. She will have swept the floor, but it can be there now, is it? They swept the floor 2 days ago.
Oh.
Anyway, I made such a fuss about it. She's gone back to the shop, yeah?
Yeah.
And there's the plectrum.
Oh, the same one.
That's his plectrum that he gave the blue ETs. It's a sign that he wanted sent back to me. That's how come I've got it.
Yeah.
He sent it via Brenda to give to me, and I carry this with me. Now, what she didn't know was, but what's on my computer, and I can prove to anybody, he said that if I've got this, this is an artifact. This class an artifact, not my spearhead, yeah?
Yeah.
He said, if you've got this, you can shake hands with the ETs, yeah? Which is going to sound ridiculous to everybody listening to this show, right? But he told me a certain time to be at the forest, and I went along with Brenda and these Bev, Bernie, my brother, a whole group of us went there. And he said, and he told me when to go, he said, and the being will come and shake your hand. Well, we knew it was near Eastgate, but we hadn't actually quite understood where to stand. We knew there's a little portal area near Eastgate. So Brenda, Bernie and my brother went and stood in this little portal area right near the roadway near Eastgate.
Yeah.
And Bernie had a dog with him, a hunting dog, which just laid on the ground on the road.
Yeah.
Me and Bev, we stood near Eastgate. We were trying to see, we didn't know where this thing was going to appear or how it was going to appear. Yeah. Anyway, this strange looking being appeared, right? Now, had it been an animal, Bernie's dog would have killed it. Bernie's has got a hunting dog, or he's died now, but he had a hunting dog.
Yeah.
Because he works on forestry stuff, Bernie. So the dog was laying there watching this. I'm standing with Bev. I thought, that's it. And I'm holding this up, right? So this being started crossing the road, right? And it was, how do I describe it? I'll describe it probably a bit like a cartoon character with a big head and a tail.
Yeah.
You know, strange looking. It just like a cartoon character. It wasn't a solid object. It was like a ghost one. But
how big was it?
I'd say it's probably the size of a dog. Say, how tall would it be? I'd say about 3 foot tall.
Right.
And it's moving. I think it. I don't know, it had 2 legs and 2 arms, or if it was 4 legs. I don't actually know. It appeared to be moving on 2 legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to 4 legs, and had a long tail. And when it started crossing the road coming towards us, Bev was standing next to me. Bev started panicking.
Right.
She screamed, and she called Bernie's dog. So the dog ran across the road and right in front of this being, and then the being just turned around and run back towards into the trees. So I never got to shake hands with it, right? But that is the thing that I've got that apparently means I can shake hands with beings.
Oh, right, okay. Now the reason I was asking about the size of it, I've seen like what I think was a cartoon type cat.
All right.
Had like a big rugby ball shaped head.
That's it.
It was about 1.5 foot off the ground, but it was just too animated for it to be real.
That's what, but like I say, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been 2 to 3 foot tall, but the head was too big for the body.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was in Cambridge, going out towards Saffron Walden. So it's going out towards your end, but obviously not far. And it kind of like walked out in the road. It see me coming down in the van, turned around, went back in the garden. But as I passed the garden, I'm looking, couldn't see anything in there. And it was a corner house as well, so I managed to stop on the junction to try and have a look, but nothing.
Was it like a ghost? Like what I see was like a ghostly figure, like how to put it? You could near enough see through it. It wasn't solid.
Right. No, this was solid, and it was like this colour, like a grey browny colour.
Oh right. Oh, well, it's similar to what I see. I mean, it was all like the same as you. these things happen. You've only got a few seconds to sort of see what you see. But but the whole thing about it was Kevin was right, and he told us where to go, where to be, which we was.
Yeah.
But I've got something even more scary to tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
That's concerning shaking hands with something. But go on, ask them any more questions. I'll answer them as we go if you want.
Yeah. Got a couple more. So this is from Nigel Wright, who we both met at Manchester.
We
And he's
did.
asked, do they use the grid system as a source of propulsion power? So going back to the UFOs.
I think they do, and I'll tell you why I think that. When I started, I had a part map of the grid system, and that come, and you can check this out. And I know Nigel will know about this, or someone along the line. Years ago, back in 1983, I think it was, or in the early 1980s, Brenda had a visit from a reptilian called David Daniels. Have you heard about this?
No.
Well, put it another way. At the time, the highest ranking military officer in this country was Lord Hill Norton.
Right.
Lord Hill Norton contacted Brenda and asked her to take the reptilian David Daniels to meet him at GH headquarters, which she did.
Yeah.
They spent 2.5 hours with Lord Hill Norton. Yeah. And David Daniels also got to meet some other high-ranking members of the government. Now, David Daniels is a whole story on his own, right? David Daniels, he appeared to Dot Street. He had turned up in Dot Street's house. You know, little Dot Street from Rendlesham incident. Dot Street, Brenda Butler, were the main investigators in 1980 incident.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
Dot Street was a member of Boo 4, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Well, David Daniels stood about 6'6". He was a reptilian, but he looked like a human. Yeah, he appeared in Dot Street's house and said that he wanted to meet Brenda Butler.
Right.
Dot Street went ballistic. Little Dot Street's 4 foot tall. Yeah.
Right.
Now, the reptilians, I don't know if you know this, but the only interview I've ever done is 3 people that met David Daniels. Dot Street, yeah?
Yeah.
Chris Penny, which was Brenda's ex-partner, and Brenda Butler.
Right.
Now, when this guy appeared in Dot Street's house, he wanted to stay there. He needed somewhere to stay. She was terrified of him. He just appeared in the house. Anyway, she's rung up Brenda. Brenda's drove over there, and she said, get him out of my house. She said, just get him out of my house. He wants to see you. Go and get him out of my house. So Brenda said, where is he? She said, he's upstairs. So Brenda went upstairs, and he's in the room upstairs, in the spare room, I think. And he revealed himself to Brenda. He's reptilian, and he needed to talk to Brenda. And you can ask Brenda this. You can actually, it was on Wikipedia. I don't know if it's still on there or not, but it was. Or WikiLeaks, whatever you call it. Anyway, the bottom line was he went to stay with Brenda Butler for 3 months. Yeah. In fact, the people of Leiston got a petition up to get rid of him. They're frightened of him. He kept appearing. He never slept. He didn't sleep at night. He kept walking around the streets at night. He didn't sleep. Not like we sleep.
Yeah.
He never washed. He always smelled clean. He never hardly ate anything apart from boiled sweets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Brenda's then partner, Chris Penny, was frightened of him. Well, everybody was. Anyone that knew him was frightened of him. Yeah. He could do strange things. If you picked up a book, for example, and opened up to any page, he'd stand the other side of the room and tell you what's on that page.
Wow.
He could do amazing things.
Yeah.
When I done the interviews, Chris Penny, I don't know if you know, well, it's no big secret. Chris Penny got a gun to shoot him. He hid it in his room. He was that frightened of him, he was going to shoot him. David Daniels said to Brenda, he said, Chris has got a gun, he wants to shoot me. That's only because Chris was frightened of him. So when Brenda questioned Chris Penny, he said, no. He said, it's not a real gun, it's a copy.
Yeah.
Well, years later, when Chris Penny sat in my house here with Brenda, he said, "No, it was a real gun." It was. He said they frightened me. Well, I didn't know what to do, so I thought if
Yeah.
he comes after, I'll shoot him. Right.
Oh,
But anyway, this David Daniels, he stayed in a little caravan outside. That little caravan outside the house,
yeah.
and when he was in it, they had no heating in the caravan. Yet all the paint melted off the caravan. It all melted
Oh,
and bowled up and melted off.
and
There's
that
loads of
because of him.
strange things. He was what he says he was, right?
Yeah.
Um, Also, you couldn't take pictures of him. Now, both
Right.
Brenda, now he told Brenda, he said, you can try and take pictures, but they won't come out. And when you took a picture of him, you just got little dots, the shape of him, little dots appeared.
All right. Yeah.
Just also tried to take a picture of him, and all the picture was smudged out. You couldn't get a picture of him. Then at one stage, like I say, he met up with Lord Hill Norton.
Yeah.
And then one day he said to Brenda, "What, I've got to go." He said, "The Americans know I'm here now. They're coming after me." He said, "I don't want to bring trouble to your door, so I'm going to go, and I'm going to go now."
Yeah.
He said, we will meet up again." And he vanished. And literally the next day, Scotland Yard on the phone to Brenda, "Where's this David Daniels?" The Scotland Yard's right, Brenda said, ring Scotland Yard back and ask for this particular police officer and he'll speak to you," which she did.
Yeah.
And the police officer said, "Look, we want David Daniels. Where is he?" And the Americans also turned up at the same time. Right.
Oh.
Special forces turned up to get him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd explain it, but they went after him.
Yeah.
And they tried to intimidate Brenda, which weren't happening. They said, "Look," Brenda said, "What do you want him for?" They said, "Well, we've wanted it to do with a murder." She said, "That's
Yeah.
not doing murder. He hasn't murdered anybody. You know that, and I know that. He's a reptilian. That's why you want him," which they did.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
as it transpired, when he come to this planet, I think it was down Portsmouth area somewhere, there were several of them on the craft. The British found the craft, right? So David Daniels couldn't go back to the craft, and nor could any of the others that were on the craft.
Right. Okay.
So they ended up going all over the world. Now,
Yeah.
how strange is this? Brenda gets a call for Colonel Wendell Stevens. You heard of him? Area
I've heard
51.
the name rings a bell. Yeah.
He was locked up in a penitentiary to shut him up. Colonel Wendell Stevens, yeah?
Yeah.
His daughter got in touch with Brenda and says, "There's a strange man called David Daniels that gave me your phone number and told me to ring you. He's visited my dad in the penitentiary." Colonel
Oh.
Wendell Stevens was in a high definition penitentiary. Now you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
check anyway, you can check any of this out. I'm not lying to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check
Yeah.
any of this out. Now he just appeared in there. So Colonel Wendell Stevens said, "Who are you?" He said, "I want to talk to you. My name's David Daniels." And anyway, so Colonel Wendell Stevens was not happy about it. So, "I don't know who you are. I don't want to talk to you. Just go. I don't know how you got in here, but just go." So anyway, so he left. Next thing, Colonel Wendell Stevens' daughter rang the prison and said, "Dad, can you meet this guy? He's in my house." He said, "What? He's just appeared in my house. He's here."
Yeah.
So now Wendell Stevens is now fuming, though he's still a colonel. He's locked up for
Yeah.
a trumped up charge. So anyway, so what? I'll see him then. So I think it was a Sunday. So one day they don't have visiting in the penitentiary that he was in.
Yeah.
So he turns up. The guy just appeared in the prison, just as a monk. Right? I don't know how
Oh.
he got past the prison guards, but he appeared in the prison, right,
Uh,
on a non-visiting day. So he sat opposite Wendell Stevens, right, and whatever Colonel Wendell Stevens asked for, this guy pulled out of his pocket. Thing.
yeah.
Colonel Wendell said, "Can you prove who you are? You've got a driver's license or passport." When he asked for different forms of
Yeah. Yeah.
ID, whatever he asked for,
Yeah.
David Daniels produced. There's no way
Yeah.
David Daniels could have known what he's going to ask for, but obviously he did.
Yeah.
He had a chat to Colonel Wendell Stevens. "There's a few people that I need to see, and you're one of them." Lord Hood was one. Brenda Butler was one. I
Yeah.
think Billy Meyer was one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few people. Well, after Brenda then got friendly with Colonel Stevens' daughter. Anyway,
Yeah.
then Oh, loads of strange things. Then he was like, then he was seen in Hawaii, right? I think it's Hawaii, and a coach load of people on a bus on a coach trip around Hawaii,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
David Daniel just appeared on the bus with a woman with him,
Oh,
another one, another reptilian. And
yeah.
when the bus stopped, they've all gone into a cafe or something, or cafe or restaurant, whatever, something to eat. Of course, he
Yeah.
didn't eat nothing, and he's gone in with the girls. So that all these girls were asking, well, who are you? Where are you from? He said, well, and he gave Brenda Battle's name again. I said, like, I'm not from here, I'm from somewhere else. How true
Yeah.
was that? And they tried taking pictures of him, and none of the pictures come out. Yeah. And
Ah,
then he was seen in Australia. He went all around the world visiting certain people
yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't know the reasons. And then he did meet up with Brenda again. Brenda was told to go somewhere, and she met with him. But
Yeah.
people were frightened of him because of what he could do.
Yeah.
Brenda took him to the local church, and he pinched a
Yeah.
couple of Bibles. Right, Brenda was really embarrassed. But
Yeah.
Brenda went back to see the Reverend or Vic or whatever you call him, and he said, "Look, he
Yeah.
can have them." He said he can have them if it helps him, not realizing what he was. But
Yeah.
he one of the things he did do, which I learned from Chris Penny, was Chris Penny said I didn't like him. He wrote all over me AA books. I said, what do you mean, Chris? What do you mean he wrote? He said, well, AA books. I remember the old AA books. He drew all these triangles on my books.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I said, have you still got the books? He said, yeah. I said, well, can I see them? He said, yeah, you can have them. So he didn't give them. Well, he didn't give them to me. He lent them to me,
Yeah.
and that's where I learned about the triangles. Yeah. And the reason I realised, as soon as I see them, I know what it was, because one was down Clacton on Finton, the Kirby area. I used to live down Clacton and
Yes.
Finton,
Yeah.
and that was exactly one of them points on the triangle was exactly another hotspot. And that was where Corn Circle appeared back in the 80s, and a
Ah,
triangle appeared, and
yeah.
a load of strange other things. I took Brenda and Bernie there to that, and my brother, to that exact spot where these corn circles appeared.
Yeah.
And there's a whole story to that on that's amazing as well. Why we was in there investigating it, we had some scientists over from America, and they were waiting for a corn circle to appear. And what happened was the local airfield was a place called Jaywick near Clacton.
Yes.
And the
I
guy
know
that
that.
ran the group used to get a guy one of his mates had a plane, used to fly over the area, and if he see a
Yeah.
corn circle had appeared, he'd land and his ring run, and we'd all go out there to look at the corn circle with
Yeah.
the scientists. And this one appeared near Clacton, this corn circle. Well, while he was in the corn circle with the scientist, the army come up filming us in the corn circle with the scientists. And by
Yeah.
pure chance, our mate with the plane comes flying over to take down pictures for the scientist of the area,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ended up filming the army filming us. Hey, how
Oh,
good's that? Right.
jeez.
Well, yeah. What did happen was, what we didn't know at that time was there was some other stuff that was caught on film as well, and
Yeah.
that's a load of strange things happened. To my knowledge, there was that I knew of 3 copies. I was member of Essex UFO group. I was kind of number 2 of the group, shall I say? Like, to help out.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had a copy, and the guy that done the filming had the main film was a guy called, hang on, almost Roy Lake. He used to be part of the London, who run the London group.
Yeah.
Roy Lake used to come and film stuff, and Roy Lake had the master copy, and he done me a copy, Ron West a copy, and I don't know who else had copies now, but there was 2 or 3 copies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know if you know the story about Ron West, who used to run Essex UFO group, but him and a few people got zapped by a UFO in Rendlesham Forest, and they got cancer. They're all
Oh,
dead now. We don't talk about it down at Rendlesham because one of their members, that was his missus.
right. Okay.
But I'm saying it now because we're on here, and that was a lot of years ago, so hopefully that person won't take offence to it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't talk about it because several people died from it.
Yeah.
Apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently the UFO shot a beam down, and the people that got hit by it died of cancer years
shit.
later. I'm not saying it's deliberate, but that's what happened apparently.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's a lot of strange stories there, I'll tell you. Anyway, got any more
Yeah.
questions? Go on.
Yes. So next one is from Ogety, Elaine. Isn't it something to do with tunnels underground? So the stuff they show you on top is not near them?
It's possible because there are tunnels underground. I've got a friend. Well, I say a friend. There's somebody I know that been in most of the tunnels, Bentwater side anyway. Not so much Woodbridge, but he's been in the tunnels at Bentwaters. Now I can say for 100%, and I've heard what the military guys have had to say. They say there's no tunnels. Well, yes, there is, and I'll tell you exactly where the tunnels are. At least some of them.
Yeah.
And this is Bentwaters, not Woodbridge. On Bentwaters, for example, I do a lot of work, or was doing a lot of work on Bentwaters.
Yeah.
And in the middle of Bentwaters Air Base, it's not an air base anymore as such. It was still there, but there's mostly factory units and things on there. And they've got security all around it, this and that. Well, there's a potato factory kind of in the middle of it. And they actually use one of the tunnels. That's how I know they're there. And a guy that worked for me one day, he went to one of the Bentwaters with me. He said, "Bloody hell, Joe," he said, "it brings back memories. You know, I was delivered to that potato factory." I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Want to go underground?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I turned up here." He said, "One day," he said, "I had a trailer load of potatoes on. They chip them or something. They don't know what they make out of the chips or whatever. I don't know." Anyway, he said, "I pulled up with them." He said, "They told me to drive in." He said, "No, I've got a bloody great tractor with a massive load of, big trailer on the back." They told me, "If you drive down there, you can turn around at the bottom." He said, "And unhitch." He said, "And I drove down into this tunnel business underneath that factory." He said, "I turned around in the tunnel." He said, "And I parked the trailer down there. And I had to drop 2 trailer loads I dropped down there that was underground."
Yeah.
And I've got another friend who actually has been down some of the tunnels there. A lot of them are closed off, but they're still there. And that's at Bentwaters. And I also know of at Woodbridge, near Eastgate, actually, there's a bit there. There was a tunnel that's been sealed up. That was sealed up from wartime, World War II, I think that was sealed up. But there are tunnels there. There are tunnels there, 100%, both air bases.
Cool. Right, we got one more question for you, which is good because we're just coming up to the 2-hour mark. So the next question is, I'll tell you in a second. So this is from Nickname. Can Derek remote view?
Well, it's funny that one should come up. As far as I know, I can't, but I have done it. I've astro travelled, for example, and I'll give an example of the astro travelling first. I got Brenda and Bernie together. Yeah, I've done it, asking the universe to bring the two of them together. And they've only been together a couple of weeks, and Brenda is able to astro travel and remote view. In fact, the military tried to hire Brenda for remote viewing. Yeah, they had a course thing going. That's how good she is. Well, Brenda, when Bernie lives in Cambridge, so when he was in Cambridge, Brenda was able to astro travel and see him. Yeah. And then, literally, I've been together a couple of weeks, and Brenda rang me up and had a go at me. He said, why are you appearing between me and Bernie? I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You've been astro travelling. I'm there with Bernie, and you're in between us." I said, "That'd be ridiculous." She said, "I'm telling you, you are." And she really was got the hump with me. That's the first phone call. Well, then it happened the second time. And I thought, I said, "Brenda, there's no way I can't bloody astro travel, can I? I wouldn't know where to start." I said, "You can, but I can't." Well, that all sounded a bit. She said, "I know you can astro travel. I followed you home." And she'd never been to my house at this point, and she described the whole interior of my house and how I'd laid my clothes out when I went to bed. I see you astro traveling. You looked like you was a bit lost. I said, "I'm bloody astro traveling. What are you talking about?" Anyway, a couple of days after that, a medium called Valerie Waters, who lives in Wales, contacted me. Yeah. He said, Derek, she said, I see you astro travelling. I said, I'm not another one. This is ridiculous. She said, no, Derek. He said, I've seen you astro travelling. You've seen the, what they call it, ether or whatever you call it, yeah? So I see
Yeah.
you are astro travelling. I said, that's not, I said, you're bad as bloody Brenda. I don't remember none of it. And
Yeah.
an answer to whoever said that question with the remote viewing, yeah? I know how to remote view, but it's a lot bit like my mediumship. The there's several ways. I definitely know there's several ways of doing this. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can either do it with colors, you can do it with sounds, you can do it like just with mediumship.
Yeah.
I went to a thing in East Anglia group. They had Tony Top in there, who wanted to show people about remote viewing, and he had a picture and said, right, if you can try and focus your mind and draw what I've got,
Yeah.
this particular picture, this building. Well, my Penny, who's a medium, was sitting next to me. She had it spot on.
Yeah.
In fact, she was the top in the whole group there. She got it straight off. There have been occasions when I have been able to do it, but it's a bit like my mediumship. I wouldn't pretend to be very good at it because I'm not very good at it either. But now and then it clicks in. Do you know? Now and then it happens for you. A bit like your healing,
Yeah.
you know. Like when I done the healing with Larry the other week, when I suddenly went my higher self. Sometimes it works for us, sometimes it doesn't. But for my case, I'd love to be able to do it properly, but I've never really put my mind into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've spoken to people that can do it. In fact,
Yeah.
Buchanan was one of the people. I'm actually a member of Remote Viewing Site, actually. I think Buchanan was one of the top guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've read about the people, what's his name, who remote viewed the other side of the moon, the outside of the moon, whose name I can't remember for a minute, but I'm sure everybody will know who I mean.
Yeah.
Two guys that trained the CIA to remote view. Yes, and
Yeah.
I do know a bit about it.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like anything. With me, it's got to be instant. Do you know what I mean? If I can do my
Yeah.
mediumship, it's instant. But I
Yeah.
can't say that I can remote view now. I wish I could. I wish I could do mediumship, one-to-one readings without getting in trouble. But that seems a bit of a
Yeah.
hard task for me. But yeah, go on. You got another question? Or
1 second. It's gone all funny. Oh, it is a question. Has David got a link? So, do you have a website or Facebook or anything like that?
I'm on Facebook. I
Yeah.
haven't got a website. I haven't wrote books as such either. Actually, I'm in quite a few books. I'll just quickly
Yeah.
show you this one. I was one of the first people to be involved with the book called We Are Disclosure Part 1, and that's the book.
Right.
And
Okay.
Mary Rodwell wrote a chapter in it. I wrote a chapter. Jim Miles wrote a chapter. There's loads of us wrote chapters for this book. There's one of the early disclosure books.
Yeah.
I'm in another book here, Jason Gleaves' book, which I'll show you. I'm not doing this to be big-headed. I'm just showing you so people can find stuff about me. And
Yeah.
you can Google my name. If you Google my name, Derek Savory, I'm on Google. Don't know who
Yeah.
put it on there, but I'm on Google as well, apparently. My son found that. Just Google Derek Savory and I'm there.
Yeah. I
But
think
I am on Facebook.
once you're on some platforms and that, as soon as you go on Google, you're there straight away. So yeah. It's all good. Right. We're not going to have time to ask or answer any more questions, but are you able to come back on in December?
Yes, no problem.
Is that all right?
I've got loads of things I can share with you, loads more about Rendlesham and other events that I've been involved with. But yes, definitely.
Yeah, I've got a couple of empty Wednesdays in December, so
yeah,
we'll arrange you to come on then. So yeah, so thank you so much for coming on. It was great to meet you in Manchester.
And you, I'll tell you. But we're meant to meet for a reason, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I'll be in touch in the next couple of days. I'll send you a couple of dates and let me know which one you can do, and we'll do a part 2 on this then.
Yeah, I've got loads. I've got loads of stuff I can share with you, absolutely loads, and I'll answer any questions the best way I can.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you. Oh, quick, are you available tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Yes.
Wednesday. I'm doing a live stream tomorrow, just me. I'll message you later after we've come off air, because some of it could be good. I'm talking about an encounter that happened in Kings Lynn. That's not. It's not a million miles away from where you're from. So I'm talking about that, but it might be good to get you on as well. But I'll explain it all later. So yeah.
Okay then. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So tomorrow night I'm going to be coming on talking about my Anubis encounter. Derek's going to come on and join me, and we'll do a little bit of a part 2, and then we'll go on from there. Don't forget, on Friday is a Halloween special at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss that one. And over the weekend, we are going to be going up to Cannock Chase and doing a Campfire Tales. That isn't going to be live. That's going to be pre-recorded. The audio from that is going to go out on Halloween, which is next Tuesday, I think. So that's going to go out for actual Halloween itself. So thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for modding. Thank you, everyone listening, asking questions, supporting the channel, everyone listening to on podcast, everyone now watching and listening on Facebook and LinkedIn and on my other YouTube channel. So please do join us tomorrow night. Tune in, same time, 8 o'clock. And we'll do a little bit of part 2 as well as my encounter. So take care, everyone, and good night. And thank you, Derek. You've been an absolute legend.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Take care, everyone, and see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.